Perfect. Hello, everybody, and happy Western Wednesday. My name is Alexis. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm the Vice President for University Pride with the Western Student Association. And every Wednesday, we highlight a different group or organization or department on campus. And today, I'm joined by the University Office of Government Relations. So without further ado, I'll hand it right over.
Thank you, Vice President Morris. It's good to join you today for the Western Wednesdays. We're going to try to run through a quick slide presentation about the Office of Government Relations, our team, and what we do. So without further ado, we'll try to slide through this here. I'm Jeff Brennaman, the Vice President for Government Relations. I've been with the university since July of 2019. I did spend some time with the university many moons ago, 1998 to 2003, and then came back to the university in 2019. And glad to have the team with me here today, and I'll let them do their own introductions, and we'll start with Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie John. I think that my screen might say that I'm Kara Wood, but our inside joke just is that she's everywhere. So we're all going to be assigned Kara, but I'm Katie, and I work in the Office of Government Relations. I primarily focus on state and federal relations, and I've been with the university many moons. And so happy to be here, always happy to talk to students.
And as Katie mentioned, I'm Kara Wood, the Associate Vice President for Community Partnerships, and I'm new to the university within the last couple of years, spending most of my time working on civic and corporate engagement activities between the community and the university. And a lot of work has been done with WSA, so it's been great to get to know the members of the Western Student Association.
Perfect. So let's start with a little overview. What does the Office of Government Relations really do? A lot of people really wonder that. So we'll give you hopefully a little overview and see if there's anything that we can clear up about the misconceptions about what we do. So obviously, being a public university, we focus a lot on federal, state, and community and corporate relations. All of that really ties in with some sort of government relations function. And so we'll get into the details on what that looks like. But we work with the university's interests, both internal and external, to make sure that the stakeholders are involved with our government stakeholders. So the Western Michigan University Office of Government Relations, our mission and values are that we are going to ethically operate with transparency, civility, bipartisanship, and inclusivity to support public higher education. That's really our focus. And our mission is to advocate for and advance public policy and partnerships benefiting Western Michigan University and the communities that we serve. So again, talking about government relations, you can see how it ties in for a public university to all of the aspects of community engagement and corporate engagement. We're involved obviously with health centers or business and industry, sometimes agriculture, less so at a Western Michigan university than maybe a land grant institution, museums and theaters, community organizations, K through 12 schools. All of those things are part of what community engagement is and how a public university benefits larger societies. So here's our three main goals and what we focus on. Number one, we provide WMU students, our goal is to provide WMU students access to increased resources for cost-effective educational opportunities and state-of-the-art facilities. So being a public university, we get over $100 million every year from the state of Michigan. Every dollar that we get from the state of Michigan helps keep tuition lower because there's really only two sources for a public institution. One is the state appropriations and the other is tuition. So every dollar that we can get for higher education and specifically Western Michigan University keeps the cost of tuition lower. Plus, being a public institution, they pay for some of our educational facilities, a good portion of our educational facilities. So you look around campus recently and you see the renovations at Sangren Hall. You could, we're getting ready to start Dunbar Hall that was approved by the state in December. The College of Aviation, a new building is about to open up. So things that have an academic or educational background, the state will help us fund it. Our second goal is to cultivate mutually beneficial partnerships between WMU's internal and external stakeholders in the areas of scholarship, research, and economic development. So at the end of the day, it's about students. all of these things focus around our students and how we can build partnerships for our students for whatever it may be. We can figure out ways that our work ties in and gives more opportunities for our students. Our third goal is to demonstrate effective and efficient communications with internal and external stakeholders through the advocacy and technology to seamlessly coordinate our engagement priorities. So we're trying to do a better job of using today's technology to do the things that we do to ensure that we're using all of the tools effectively. We're a small team, but we have to do everything that we can to maximize the time that we have and the tools that we have at our disposal. So I'm going to turn it over to Katie to talk a little bit more in detail about state and federal relations and what we do.
Thanks. And so, yeah, as I mentioned in my introduction, I focus primarily on state and federal relations, which just means cultivating those relationships in Lansing and in Washington, D.C. with our elected officials, and coordinating those relationships with then the folks on campus, including students and administration, faculty. And so Jeff mentioned that obviously a main focus, we spend a lot of our time on appropriations and demonstrating the value of higher ed to our state and federal partners. And depending on the composition of the legislature, that can ebb and flow depending on their feelings on higher education. We always have great luck. Our local legislators, obviously those that know Kalamazoo and WMU know the value it provides. And so they are very helpful, great champions for us in Lansing and in DC. So this slide just shows some examples of things that our office have in partnership with faculty and staff we've been able to work on. And it's just identifying WMU's strengths and trying to match and marry those with a need, whether it be at the federal level or at the state level. So in last year's state budget, we were able to work to get $500,000 for the geological survey, which is located at WMU. We also worked to get $1.5 million to start WMU Resiliency Center, which is housed over at the Unified Clinics. At the federal level through the USD Department of Energy, there was a huge $9.6 million grant. And so those are just some, again, quick examples of projects on the appropriation side. And then as you can see, we also deal with policy. So whether it be something like name, image, and likeness for our college athletes, or kind of regulatory issues like overtime pay, we pay attention to policies around PFAS, liquor license changes. It really does run the gamut. And we try to be aware of all the major movements out there and how they might apply to our campus. And we also try to just work with those legislative offices if they have constituent concerns, if there's any insight or access they need to WMU, we try to provide that and be a liaison between the two organizations. So I think that covers it, and Kara may have the next slide for her then detailed job description.
Yeah, and as we do that, the last line there is, did we mention COVID-19? So you can imagine there's been a lot of government relations policy around COVID, both on our campus and off of our campus, at the community level, the state level, the federal emergency assistance for campus. So we've been doing a lot of work to manage that. And I'm going to turn it over to Kara Wood, who is also, on top of what she does on the topic she's going to talk about, she's also been one of the co-chairs of our COVID task force on campus and done a lot of great work to keep everybody safe. You're on mute, Kara.
I'm going to get that t-shirt. You're on mute. Anyway, so the work that I do with corporate partners, both for-profit and nonprofit partners, involves growing the relationships that we have with those folks from the traditional awareness engagement, where they may be aware of WMU as a higher learning institution, but not fully aware of our capabilities, and trying to grow those relationships across campus so that they become strategic partners. So we know that there are a lot of organizations that are engaged with the university in many ways, and so trying to coordinate a network across campus that is talking to each other, trying to improve these relations so that our reputation in community is that it is seamless to work with WMU and that we provide value. Because as a public institution, we need to continue to represent that we are providing public value to the community. So we have a lot of opportunity to grow those that are aware of the university through support and sponsorship to corporate strategic partners. The model that we look at is the fact that corporate engagement is at the center of all of the things that we do across campus, whether it's engaging students in recruitment, licensing of technology that's been developed on campus, philanthropy, other relationships across academic units, and executive education that the university provides to corporations. So we want to make sure that we're engaging all of the university resources and assets in our ability to grow those relationships in community.
I feel like we missed a slide, Kara. Am I wrong?
Nope, I think that was it.
Okay, good. Well, so that gives you a very quick overview of government relations. So whether it's at the federal level, state level, local level, dealing with elected officials, or it's our community engagement or our corporate engagement, all of those things do tie into government and community partnerships. But we really need you too. The students can be really, really helpful. Your participation in your relationships matter, whether it's legislative advocacy. It's not just about the campaigns. It's also about making sure that elected officials hear from our students about their experiences and that they want an investment in higher education from the state, because that does keep your tuition lower. It makes a difference when you call a state legislator or a state senator and make that clear. It makes a difference when you call your congressmen or your US senators and thank them for the work that they've done during COVID to provide student emergency relief. There's been a lot of great programs coming out for student emergency relief and more to come to help us get through this tough time. Katie and I can talk to them, or Kara can talk to the local officials all we want, but it really helps when they hear from you, when they hear from the students, the faculty, or the staff. Those are very important things. We also know that a lot of our students are involved in community engagement. We know that you're doing internships at corporations. It's good for us to know about those things too and be waving the Bronco flag when you're out there to help us, because all of those things help us accomplish our goals in government and community partnerships. So with that, I'm going to leave the presentation and ask if there's any questions by Vice President Morris, or see if anyone else has anything to share.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can dive right into questions. Can you talk a little bit about things that your office has done specifically this year, whether it's with students on campus or in the community at large?
I'll start. One of the things that we've done is in partnership with WSA, we did We Talk. If you haven't heard of We Talk, it was something we started in February of 2020, right before the pandemic. And we did a big event at Fetzer to talk about how we can all get together and be more responsible in how we engage with each other. How can we have civil discourse, even though we might disagree on big things, but let's talk about it. We're at an academic institution, and we should value diversity of thought and diversity of opinion, and be able to have those conversations in a very civil way and talk it through as a part of the educational experience. So we started that program, and then of course COVID hit. But as we went then through the summer of last year, as you remember, we had the social unrest in communities like Kalamazoo and everywhere. And we worked with WSA to put together a program about these issues on our campus. So what's the history of racial justice on our campus? And working with Vice President Barada and others, we had a program that included former faculty and staff that had been here in the 1960s and in the 1990s when there were issues of unrest on our campus. And again, it was just a great opportunity to talk and have dialogue around the issues of the day. We hope that we can plan more of those. I also worked with Vice President Barada on a letter to our congressmen and senators back in December, thanking them for the work that they had done for our students. And it was great because Emma reached out to students and got actual quotes from students about how much the first round of CARES money helped them. And it was very heartfelt stories. So, you know, those kind of partnerships with our office is extraordinarily helpful.
During COVID, we've spent a lot of time with WSA leadership on a variety of initiatives, including connecting students with volunteer opportunities. I worked very closely with VP Henry Theory, the VP for Community Engagement, making sure that students were aware of opportunities and also sharing ideas on how we might engage students in our planning processes for COVID. So as a result, there was a student coalition that was developed that worked on marketing and social media campaigns. In addition, we also engaged directly with the WSA leadership on a regular basis. So Dr. Ruggiero and I met on a biweekly basis with the WSA leadership to share information and get input from students on how things were going. And that input is really critical to our success because you are the students, in the community, in the campus environments that we're curating for you, and we want to make sure that it's safe. So we get a lot of good feedback that allowed us to tweak our activities on campus to ensure safety and student success.
Yeah, Jeff mentioned that we're a small office, but we like to think we're mighty. And we have an open door policy, and we truly mean if we can ever be helpful, we always want to hear from you. If we, can in any way, big or small, we want to have that strong relationship and interaction. And so never hesitate to reach out to our office.
One more thing, Vice President Morris, is the Capital Internship Program run through the Political Science Department. It's been a great program dating all the way to when I was a student at Western. I think when it was horse and buggies on campus, but I'm an alumni of the program. It's a great program. Katie works with the offices in Lansing to place interns in legislative offices. And it really does improve the reputation of Western having these interns throughout the Capitol and state agencies, and something we're really proud of at Western.
Wonderful things about the program, so I'm excited that has survived COVID. Can we talk a little bit about things moving forward as you look to next year, what your office might have planned or over the summer?
Sure, we're getting ready to launch a federal program. So we're going to get more involved at the federal level coming out of COVID. It's something we've been working on. And now that we have a new administration in Washington, a lot of new relationships that can be built at whether it's the Department of Education or looking at research for sustainability on our campus. How do we even look for opportunities if they're going to fund infrastructure dollars? How do we look at increasing our sustainability dollars on campus for solar or for battery storage or other things? So our office will be heading that up and looking for opportunities to, fund research, lower our carbon footprint on campus. And I'm sure we'll be looking to gather input from students. We'll continue to work on We Talk. We've got some exciting things that we're working on for both the summer and the fall. We're working with some faculty members to potentially even incorporate some ideas into their curriculum in the fall to focus on how do we actually build the skills for difficult conversations and crucial conversations. We are an institution of learning, and I think we can do that in a time when it's not an election year. How do we talk about the skills that we need to have those conversations when we disagree?
And we're looking forward to working with the new leadership of WSA and continuing the relationship with students on a regular basis, planning for the fall semester and what COVID protocol we would be implementing. Also looking for opportunities for students to serve on boards and commissions, potentially in the Kalamazoo County area or maybe in the region. So any students that have interest in serving in any of those capacities, please contact us and we will look for an opportunity and make those connections for you.
All right. I guess what advice would you give to a student that doesn't have a government or like political background but wants to get involved?
Katie, do you want to take that one?
Sure, I can take that one. I would say, find something that you're passionate about. Find an issue that means something to you. A change that you would like to see for the better in your community, and start there. And then you find people that have similar ideas. I think it always helps to have a group, have a community around you. And then there's usually always an organization or a group or someone that's been working in that space. So I think it's always a good idea to get a feel for what work has already been done in that space. And so you're not recreating the wheel, but you're adding your efforts to something. And then just don't be afraid to reach out to your elected officials. I think Jeff mentioned earlier that they want to hear from you. And I think he's completely sincere when he says that. They really do want to know the voice of their constituents and of students at WMU. They can only listen to us so much before they want a different perspective. And so I think they're highly accessible. I think that if you were to reach out with them, they'd be more than happy, whether it be in the Kalamazoo area or it be in Lansing, or if you'd like to speak to, the representative from your home district. I think they really do want to hear from you. And so I would just, reiterate, find something you're passionate about and know that those leaders are very accessible.
Everyone can be a lobbyist. Everyone can be a special interest. You don't have to have a government or political background to do it. And if a student ever wants help on how to navigate the best ways to do that, we're happy to do it. I think Katie participated in an event this week with the Lewis Walker Institute to talk about how you can improve your advocacy skills. So you don't have to have a background in government or politics. You don't have to be intimidated by the idea of contacting your elected government officials. It's better if we're all involved in our government. It makes it a better government.
I love that. Are there any closing thoughts, I guess, that you'd want to leave with students that this might be their first interaction with your office, or if this might be the 10th time, like, I guess, any closing thoughts on things that they can take away?
Well, we're here to be your advocates. That's what the bottom line is. Our whole mission is to support our students and provide them the resources to keep the cost of their education low, to give them world-class facilities to study in, and to provide them opportunities in the community and in corporate America to really thrive and prosper in their future. And so we're here to support you.
All right. Well, if that is it, I think we will call it a wrap.